Welcome to the ZBrush Podcast. Our guests for this episode are Maarten Verhoeven and James Cain. Both of these artists we sat down with at the ZBrush Summit in 2018. Maarten is a freelance digital sculptor, concept, and VFX artist who specializes in working for film, commercials, prototypes, and toys. James Cain is also a freelance digital sculptor and artist who works in toys and collectibles. And we were super fortunate to talk about their latest project, Grimm, or We Are Grimm, which is a collective of these two individuals as well as their other colleague, Brett Briley, who we've also featured on the ZBrush Podcast. You can check out his episode in the ZBrush Podcast list or go to ZBrushLIVE.com. These three artists met at the ZBrush Summit back in 2017, and they decided to form this collective of the three of them to found this company, Grimm, which is essentially the three artists and all their unique abilities and talents, sculpturally speaking, and design, and they now create and sell their own products. You can check out all their work at wearegrimm.com. That's Grimm with one M, and we'll also post a link in the description of this episode. And what's so amazing about this is that they met at the ZBrush Summit and really decided to take their abilities into a new sector and start something of their own. So it's a great episode to get insights into not only how they've achieved success and how they came to this point, but how to self-start and take your abilities and your skills in the CG art world into another sector. They've had great success already. They've been going to events like Monsterpalooza. So check out their site. You can check out their shop sector and see all the incredible statues and work. These three are kind of like a superhero team up of sculptors. They're really great role models and tons of inspiration. And we had a great time talking with the two of them. Unfortunately, we couldn't get all three in one. So definitely check out Brett Briley's episode to get to know him more. We hope you enjoy this episode, and let's get right to it. This is James Cain and Maarten Verhoeven from Grimm. You got to tell me, since you both have been in the Sculpt Up this year.
Yeah.
You were not in the Sculpt Up last year, Maarten, were you?
Not last year, I think 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Man, it's been that long.
Yeah.
And that wasn't at the Summit. Or was that?
It was the second time at the Summit.
Okay, so, geez, it's already been 4 years. I can't even keep track of these summits already. Whoa.
3 or 4. 3. No, 4.
That would have been the first year then.
No, it's
2014, 2015?
2000.
I thought it was 14.
I'm not even sure. I've been going for 4 years now, so.
Yeah. It's hard to keep track of it. What's the Sculpt-off like for you guys? James, this is your second time in a row now.
It is, yeah. I mean, I did it last year. I was in the organic category, and I think I was saying to you before, I did no prep last year. Well, I did about half an hour.
I talked to you right after the Sculpt-off last year, and you were like, "Oh my!" You just had this look in your eye.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. It was crazy. Just being in a room with 11 other sort of crazy, talented people is just amazing. And the pressure's on. You've got to squeeze everything into that 3 hours.
Yeah,
it's unforgiving.
Yes,
it looks a lot easier than it actually is. It's even practicing at home. This year we've both been practicing a little bit more, and you just can't account for the little variations that happen on the fly. So things will change, and they'll challenge you, and you've got to be able to fit it in and understand what's going on. And it's
kind of like a sport in that way, where you practice and you practice and you practice, but you get in the field and then it depending on your state of mind, I'm sure, maybe if you don't have the right music or but even like plugging in your flash drive or the driver goes down, you're like, oh gosh, like that's 10 minutes that I just lost, you know? Yeah. That is interesting. So then for this year, were you a little bit more comfortable?
Yes. I enjoyed it. It's not saying I didn't enjoy it last year, but I enjoyed it this year in a different way. Like I was more appreciative of the actual environment and who I was with, and I was focused on what I was doing, but I was taking it all in a bit more,
right?
Which was quite nice.
Just a little bit more relaxed this time. You're like, you understand it now a bit more.
Yeah, and this year I learned from last year that if you don't have headphones, then you can hear the commentary, and you can. So last year I could hear when Jess or Joseph they were on my screen, and that's really nerve-wracking.
Oh, I can imagine.
I was using the spiral brush because it was a spirally sort of character, and then
Jess, you know, they go, "Oh, I look like he's using the spiral brush now."
But I was like, right, I'm going to use it some more now. So I just kind of went spirally everywhere. It was just like went crazy.
Wouldn't that be funny if it was like a tennis match, like Looks like he's going in for the spiral rush.
It's like that. It's like
Oh, he's using a curve brush now.
and there should be some applause or something,
Just
some canned
light
applause. Yeah.
That would be
That'd be
amazing.
cool.
How about you, Martin? How was your experience this year?
Good. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, first time I prepped nothing.
Oh,
like,
man.
I went in and I just was going to wing it. That wasn't really a smart idea, but
Yeah.
this year, like, I prepped and it went well. Like, I'm happy about the end result.
Yeah.
And it was practically, let's say, the concept that I set up for. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I really enjoy it, you know.
That's
and I
awesome.
don't have anything with the stress, like those 3 hours, like just find the zone, good music.
Yeah.
And after 5 minutes, you're like, good to go.
What's your choice of music when you're working? I ask this question to everybody.
Uh,
Oh, I don't know this. This is a band.
Yes.
this is a band.
Is
Yeah.
this death metal?
No.
Is this what is this? Give me some sort of genre here.
Whew, it's hard to
There's
describe.
there's whole internet sort of discussions about
There's
what-
discussion
About
because
what it is.
yeah, because the image is, let's say, totally opposite from what the music is. It looks like death metal,
Yeah.
right? But it's more towards the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, that's awesome.
rock, you know,
Yeah.
and also metal influences.
Okay.
And it changed over the albums. Like,
Is this a Belgian band or
no,
where are they
it's,
from?
They're from Sweden,
Sweden. Okay.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
I think there's
And it's called
Ghost.
Ghost.
Oh, I thought that was an S. I was like
it's,
Sloshy.
It's Ghost.
Ghost. That's sweet. That's awesome. You know what? I have heard of Ghost. Actually, I've listened to some of that music because I think Joe Mena listens to it,
Yes,
and I follow
he's
him on
also
Spotify.
He's a big fan.
And I was
yeah.
like, I got to check this band out. And I started playing some of the albums. It's really good music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's awesome.
They have a wide range of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely. What about you? What's your
Well,
choice of music?
I'm a Maiden fan all the way. So literally, and that's what I was practicing to as
That's
well.
so cool.
So like, I literally just I downloaded all of the albums. In fact, fun enough, last year, I didn't think about it at all. But you lent me your headphones, if you don't. If
Oh,
you remember
yeah, that's
correctly.
right.
Yeah, but I was like, I've got like Google Play for some reason. That's
Yeah.
what I've committed to now. So all my stuff's on there.
Yeah.
But I tried to play it, and of course it won't work in the US. So I was like, no.
Oh my
So that's why I
gosh.
didn't have any.
It's like a whole nother thing. You got to like, I don't have my music now.
So this year I had it on lock. I was like, right, Maiden all the way, and I'm going to practice to it. So it's like familiar. It's kind of
Yes.
pulls me back into the zone that I was in when
That's
I
a
was
good
sort of
good
practicing.
idea. Good tips.
And I just downloaded all the albums, all of them, and
Yeah.
then just put them on shuffle.
Man, you were just way more
I was
prepared this year.
dancing. I was like
Bobbing your head.
Miguel. I had Miguel Guerrero and Leslie Van der Broek in front of me, and it's difficult not to make eye contact with people.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting
you're
there
like,
thinking, please
yeah.
don't make. But I was going, I was really getting into it, and they were looking at me going, what is this guy on?
That's
You know?
almost good scare tactics too.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're doing the same thing as when you're working at home, right?
Yeah.
You put on
Yeah,
the
that's
headphones
it.
and you're
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
I'm relaxing, having fun, and
For
like
sure.
you look around the room and everyone's also stressing, like,
Yeah.
oh damn, I should be working. I think.
I look way too happy right
Yeah.
now.
Luckily, there's no mirrors about because that would
That's
be terrible.
true,
I mean,
yeah.
like,
Oh man, we should think about that. I mean, I don't know, just joking. Like it's already hard enough to be an artist and compare yourself, and I think we have a good crowd that comes here, and everyone's very sort of open, and
Yeah,
it's really
totally.
not that much of a competition. I think it's
Not at
probably
all.
more of like you just want to put your best foot forward, right?
Yeah.
you're competing against yourself. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line. I think last year there was a slight hint of competition, but when everyone starts to get going, that goes away because you're totally focused. I mean,
Yeah.
you can kind of see other people's stuff, but if you spend too much time focusing on what they're doing, you can lose track of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the other thing is everyone's so supportive of each other. But there's nothing quite like the camaraderie that comes out of it as
That's
well.
beautiful. That's really
Yeah.
great to hear.
Yeah.
And I've seen that with all the other Sculpt-off contestants that I've
That's
met.
right, yeah.
I don't get
Yeah.
a chance to meet everyone, but there's
Yeah.
so many people coming in from different countries and all of that. But
Yeah.
that's the best part, I think.
It is, and it's why, I mean, I did the Hard Surface this year, and it's really out of my comfort zone. I mean, the 3 hours.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we look at your work, like I was saying earlier, you've
Yeah.
got this incredible texture work, and just the way
thanks.
I'm going to get into this, but the way you're able to capture texture detail in hair is remarkable.
Thank
It
you.
truly is.
Yeah.
So Hard Surface is something that you don't spend
No,
much time on.
and actually, I'm not a speedy sculptor either. Maarten is. Maarten's
You know,
very
Maarten,
quick.
man, I've been following you on ZBC for a decade at least. Like
Yeah,
just
it's,
going,
it's almost a decade.
yeah, going through your portfolio is just like you just got to be so comfortable with it now. Because you're doing piece after piece after piece.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like with everything that you can find online, those are personal pieces. Like I don't share.
Right, you a lot of work you can't share.
Yeah, but I'm not showing professional work, and I will. Chances are slim that I will do it because I want to purely show the things that I create.
Yeah.
You know? And
That's
most of
great.
but most of the pieces that are on ArtStation or something, like I knock them out in 1 or 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
And James is
I will
always
spend
angry
a month.
on me. Like I'm showing him something like,
Yeah.
he's like, dude, seriously?
And he's still working on that, and he's done like 10 pieces. I'm like, I've got to sort my life out.
Well, I think the difference between it is not to say that you don't do this, because you do this for skin texturing and all the time that you spend, it's clearly visible.
Yeah.
But for a lot of your pieces, I was just scrolling through your Instagram this morning, and every little thing has just got, I mean, even just this sort of werewolf captain character that's got just so much texture. I'm imagining you're doing this by hand.
Yes.
All of it. You're going in with just a few basic brushes, maybe.
You can see that these details were kind of sculpted. I actually used an alpha. That was the first time I'd ever sculpted an alpha for reproduction across a character.
Yeah.
But mostly, it's all hand.
Like going in
sculpted.
and doing every one of these sort of strands
That-
of hair.
all of the strands are done by hand. Yeah.
That's the best way to do it, isn't it? Like therapy.
Yeah.
In a way, you get into that sort of Zen state.
Yeah, it is exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really strict on myself. I'm hard on myself. I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
And I will redo stuff if I'm not happy with it. And sometimes that'll mean the whole thing gets redone. I re-sculpted this guy's fur 3 times
Wow.
before I was happy with it.
So you have a very particular eye. Maybe,
Yes, that's
which
right,
Maybe
yeah.
that's what's contributing to the time
Yeah.
that you spend.
Yeah.
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 Which is not a bad thing. I think that's the art part
Yeah.
of it.
I think when you do stuff like that, when I do stuff, I tend to zone out a little bit too, and sometimes that means with that sort of work, I lose focus.
Yeah.
And you start noodling, and that's when the only way to get around that, I guess, is through experience, because you know that when you start noodling, you know what the results aren't going to be what you want. So
Right.
you need to kind of get that experience to know when you start doing it, and then rein yourself in. Maybe walk away and come back.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm very different to Maarten. I will walk away and come back, and walk away and come back. And until I'm happy with what I do.
Yeah.
I think Maarten's eye is much better. He just seems to be able to do stuff very, very quickly.
Right.
So I'm kind of out of my element a little bit in the 3 hours for the Sculpt-off. So the hard surface was like doubly so.
Right. Right.
And of course, it was all vanilla this year, so no IMM brushes from external sources or
That's
anything.
commendable.
Yeah,
Truly.
I'm not sure I really thought it through, and I should have known because Joseph said it was going to be vanilla next year, and I'm like, I forgot.
Yeah.
Before I put my
So you
name
did
in
all
the
this.
hat. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, I guess maybe to put you at ease a little bit, I don't view any of this artwork. I think the Sculpt-off is fantastic, and it's a great experience and a great challenge. But I don't view necessarily. I think the production stuff gets into. We have all these time constraints, and you got to make a character if you're working in VFX in a couple weeks to a month, and that sort of forces people into this sort of state of mind where you have to do it this fast.
Yeah.
But the art form itself, regardless of time, it always comes down to what you put into it. And some people are just more naturally, quick at getting some of these things out, and others might take more time to think about it. But ultimately, it's the same thing. And the quality,
Exactly.
you guys have both incredible work equally.
We were having this conversation with other people, and I think, especially when we look at students' work and when students ask us questions, like how long does it take you to do stuff? Well, there's an old English expression, how long's a piece of string?
Yeah.
'cause
That's a good one.
it's different for everyone. And
Right.
I think a lot of people that are coming up and learning, they think there's a set way of doing things. And the best thing about art is it's fluid.
Yeah.
And you'll change your technique over time.
Yeah.
And you'll get faster and slower at things. And there's no right way of doing things in that context.
Yeah. That's
And
good
so
advice.
between us, that's like we're very similar personalities, but we're totally different artists. in that
Yes.
respect.
Yeah, I could see that.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he works without symmetry.
Yeah.
He never uses
Well,
symmetry.
that's why you're spending so much time.
Yeah, that's
too.
exactly it. Yeah. Maybe
And
I
I'm
should
like,
use it.
turn on symmetry, because if you have to fix something, like you can pose it up and things.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No. Well, that's part of the fun, right?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
therapy of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think our brains are alike, but then I'm also, I guess, because I teach as well and working in sort of like centralized in this industry, it does come like I'm saying that earlier about time, and I do that where I just kind of force myself into like, okay, I got to get this done pretty quickly, and then I can't let go of it. But then sometimes I'll have projects that I'm working on for months and months and months, and then I'm like, okay, when is this going to get done? And then I get bored with it, or I move on to something else, and then I have a hard drive full of 100 things that are never finished, you know?
Yeah.
So it is sort of like trying to finish the thing, right? Like whatever way you can get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to your hard surface stuff, how was it like for you this time? Like what kind of features were you using?
So nothing. Well, actually, saying nothing.
All
No,
sculpting?
I was using a bit of nano mesh, but that's it. And so I was thinking, well, because I'm not a hard surface guy, and I'm familiar with a lot of the features, but I'm thinking it's going to take me longer to use them because I'm not as familiar as some of the other guys, especially as there's a 3-hour time limit.
Yeah.
So what I did was I thought, well, why not sculpt the hard surface organically? So this year I thought, well, it will still look hard surface, and the file that we were given was only so big, so we're not actually going to see a lot of detail anyway. So you can actually get away with hand sculpting a lot using the trim dynamic brushes, the clip brushes, all of that sort of hand sculpted stuff. So I went that route.
That's interesting.
And so I got quite an organic looking.
That's the history of kind of ZBrush mech in before we had things like even like topology brush and panel loops and some of these other things. A lot of people used to do that with clip brushes and. So, like, if you go in with Dynamesh, do you turn on the polish option when you're sort of like just to give you those edges?
When I first started, I'm going to name drop a bit, but when I first started sculpting,
Please do.
I saw a post by Kurt Papstein.
Oh yeah, we love Kurt.
Way back in the day, it was, and when Dynamesh first came out, but he used polish a lot in his Dynamesh process.
Yeah,
and it automatically created all these lovely planes.
Right, because you can go in with that H polish or your polish brushes and or trim planer and kind of just hit it and then Dynamesh it, and then it gives you that clean edge.
Yeah, and that to me was like. I mean, my background is an illustrator. I come from a 2D background, and there was kind of a 2-dimensional quality to that.
Yeah,
which I really liked. It really kind of, resonated with me.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so that's my base. Yeah, so I don't tend to use subdivisions a lot if I can get away with it, and because of the workflow that we both use. In collectibles.
Right. Well, because I would imagine that probably is because you're constantly you're reworking stuff all the time. So it kind of becomes a hindrance to ZRemesh and then subdivide. And then if you do want to change it, you're like, I got to go back to Dynamesh it and then keep going through that process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, everything's going to get destroyed in terms of topology, when it's finally produced, it's decimated.
Yeah, we don't have to take topology in consideration.
Yeah. For you, just as a designer, right?
Yeah.
Because you're just going to keep reworking and changing it. So Sculptors Pro, have you guys been getting into using that?
All the time.
How great is that?
That changed
Loves
everything.
it.
That changed everything. Like I used to use base meshes a lot.
Yeah.
And since Sculptors Pro, and also since I met James, I started sculpting from spheres.
Oh, that's great. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's the truest form, right? You're just taking this thing.
Yeah, but with Sculptors Pro, you just pull it out and you go over it and you change the topology with bigger size, small size of the brush, and it works so fast.
That's great. It's something I love. Maybe you guys can attest to this, but it's something I always wanted, like being able to just take a sphere, for example. So if you're working with one contiguous mesh and pull it apart and then go in and smooth in between and separate out that shell and turn that into two things. And
it's very cool.
Yeah.
I think for me, I use it as it's a massive utility thing for me where a lot of the time I get things that have already been decimated. And they want changes. And back in the day, you would have to Dynamesh that. That would be the only way to do it. And try and reproject some details perhaps. But you would basically, you'd have to... And it was a reductive process. You would lose stuff in... But now you can just go in with Sculptors Pro, and
just kind of go through
it, and
that's so cool to hear.
Yeah,
that's very
awesome.
Exciting. Artists like you guys, I think, would utilize those tools the most, and I think others are gradually starting to come into it.
Yeah,
I've kind of been picking people's brains, like, so are you still using Dynamesh? Are you jumping into it yet? Yeah. Some people are a little bit, I don't know, I'm still comfortable. I guess it's whenever you're ready to.
Like I've cleaned up some scans with Sculptors Pro.
Oh yeah,
So fast.
that's awesome.
That's so fast.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible.
Yeah, because you're going in and just kind of smoothing out some of those
Yeah,
parts
and
and
all the
pieces.
little, and all the little ridges and everything. Like that's chunk, from
Yeah.
3D scan. You like just go over it and it's like instantly smooth.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
So you kind of if you're getting a decimated mesh or something,
Yeah.
you can leave those triangles for the parts that are fine, and
Yeah.
the parts you're cleaning up, you just go in with Sculptors Pro
Yeah,
and
yeah.
basically just kind of smooth that stuff
Yeah,
out.
or just go in with a bigger brush, smooth
Yeah.
it out. Go in with a smaller brush, resculpt some details.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Like switching out between the different
Yeah.
stages.
Do you use the sorry, I'm getting into the technical stuff now. Do you use the subdivide and unsubdivide ratios? Do you change those from the defaults? I find myself bringing because for me, having a bigger draw size, I do that a lot to make large movements.
Mm-hmm.
So bigger draw size at the default settings they reduce the quality or they reduce the resolution a lot. So I bring that subdivide down to like 0.75 and I put the unsubdivide at 1.
Yeah.
So I kind of work in higher resolutions, I guess, in that way with the brush sizes.
Yeah.
But do you guys change those things at all? You just kind of leave it.
I'm so lazy, so lazy. I'm
just leave it.
fiddling with the size, and then then it's really fiddly, to actually get to work. But in the beta, I did that. There's the beta image I did with the guy with the helmet.
Yeah,
that I did.
Love that piece.
That was I tried to when I heard the sort of brief about Sculptors Pro, I was like, wow, we can start really looking at trying to sculpt traditionally in digitally, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I tried to use all traditional techniques. So that piece, apart from the helmet, is totally asymmetrical, the face and everything.
That's great.
And I used the rake brush, and I tried to sort of simulate techniques. And but yeah, that was super fun. That was a super fun piece to work on. It wasn't. What I liked about it was it's completely imperfect.
Yeah.
And coming from an illustration background, learning in sort of the mid noughties, when there was a big reaction against digital illustration that was too digital,
Yeah.
looking too perfect.
Yeah.
There was like a big reaction to that, and people started drawing like with pencil, pen, and paper again. The traditional routes, for sort of editorials and things like editorial illustration and all kinds of stuff. And what's nice is you can simulate that with ZBrush now. Like it's like really random. It's there's a randomness to it now that it kind of simulates it. It's really cool. Not
everyone's willing to take that plunge and press X and turn that off and go in,
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of ultimately what we do though, is try and break that as much as you can, which is like working up to 75%, then you turn it off, you pose it, and then posing it then kind of goes in, and you do all that asymmetry
rework
and
everything
yeah,
again.
and it kind of like, and there's some stuff you got to resculpt. And when I'm teaching, I tell that to students, like, it's okay, it'll be fine. You just this is a part of the process. You have to think of it as a creative process.
And that's the thing, isn't it? But that's the experience that does that. Know that I get to a point. You get like there's certain levels in a sculpt, aren't there, that you kind of get to where. And I always, it's changed for me as I've got older and I've got a little bit more experience. But I always find them there
wisdom.
where you hit a wall in a sculpt and you think, is this ever going to get better?
Yeah.
Because it could be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then that's when you think, I definitely should have not pushed the X key.
Well, that's why the last 10% is the hardest, right? Because it's almost the time, I always find the time you spend on the first 80 or 90, that last little bit almost takes just as much. You really have to think about that as or be thinking about that.
It's changed for me. It's
Really?
changed, yeah. So I breeze through that bit, but it's getting to that point for me. And but the only thing that stops me from tearing my hair out and running off screaming down the road is experience. It's like,
You're just
it's
more
fine.
comfortable with that now.
You're more confident. I guess it could be cocky, construed as cocky, maybe. But
All the C's, basically. Confident, cocky, and comfortable.
Well, in your case.
yeah, in my case, he knows me too well.
You don't strike me as cocky whatsoever.
Oh, that's okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is confidence in what you're doing, and when you've got that confidence, you're willing to take more risks.
Yeah.
The thing is,
That's really good advice.
Well, life is not perfect, right? So, and we're trying, in some way, depending on what we're doing, trying to imitate life or make a version of it.
Yeah.
And so, to get that kind of feeling and the narrative in your work, then you need to embrace that and not fight it.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing, and that I sort of learned that when I was studying illustration, because the stuff that I did was like, we didn't do any. It was all ink drawings without no underdrawing or anything. It was really broad. And,
ink is bold. That is very bold of you, sir.
Yeah, but that's how they taught me at art school to do that. It was imperfect. They actually built that into my education. And so I've been able to carry that on in ZBrush. So with things like Sculptors Pro, it really does feel like I've got that imperfection back and I can add that in.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the whole premise of this conversation so far, is that the imperfections are kind of where the beauty and the creativity kind of comes in, right? And the CG world is sort of this sort of idea of perfection and making things look photoreal, but then also trying to depart from that now and really start looking at it as an art form, even in illustration in a way, to focus on that. So I guess the pen, every little stroke, and like and this is where my sort of neurotic tendencies come in. I'm a sketcher. I like pencil. I like to kind of rough over things so I can kind of cover those things up. You know. But pen is like everything that you do. You have to be.
It's unforgiving. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you kind of have to be a bit brave about it.
Yeah, that's great. Maarten, do you do 2D as well? Have you been? I mean, I see all you do is ZBrush these days, but
but let's say my background, I have an arts education and everything. I studied animation film. Then I got in post-production. I did so small visual effects and everything.
Yeah. And this is all in Belgium?
That was all, that's all in Belgium. And like, to be honest, I had to choose between ZBrush or between drawing.
Oh, wow.
Because especially in let's say this stage of my life, like I have 2 young kids.
Yeah.
And time is very precious and very limited.
Yeah.
Time is precious and limited that you can spend on your art.
Right.
Because your kids take over everything.
Right. I forget, you're so calm and collected. I knew that you had 2 kids, but you carry it so well. You really do. I've seen some guys, that have kids, and so you just see the stress on their face, and it's always the same thing. Everybody's trying to find time and fight for art, but you've got responsibilities and kids, but you wear it really well. You must have a very good sort of system, I guess, at home.
He takes it out on me on Skype in the morning.
Yeah. So first I bring my kids to school, right? I get home around 8:30. I start working. I give him a call after 2 hours, 3 hours. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, like the morning ritual has passed,
Right.
Bringing the kids to school and
then you start working your way up, and then it's downhill.
Yeah.
The most appropriate gif for that moment is when Oscar the Grouch comes out of the can. I can just see him like with green hair just popping out of the. It's quite like a mental image I've got every morning, so it keeps me going.
You should change your Skype profile, like between moods. It'll be Oscar the Grouch in the morning and in the afternoon.
He will have to do that now. Now he's
now it's gone public. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So you were saying choosing between ZBrush and illustration.
Yeah.
So at what point did you have to make that choice?
Actually, when I was doing my full-time day job, when I was still working with that company, like I picked up ZBrush and I tried to learn it like really fast. And things that when I got home, I started sculpting until 2 in the morning. Then I got up at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh, dude.
Then I started sculpting again until 8. I didn't had kids at that time.
Yeah, so this is like when you're in the heat. At
Yeah.
this point.
So and then I did it for let's say 3-4 months at that pace, and that's what helped me, let's say, ramp up my portfolio and everything. And from then on, it started rolling, and then I could, let's say, put in less hours, and the results were there.
Yeah. Would you say that's an important thing to do in a career for new ZBrushers and just artists in general? I sort of always see this. There's a time in your early 20s or whatever it is you get out of school, you really have to buckle down for a few years and focus on that. Was that an important thing for you to sort of get to that place or to find that sort of comfort or confidence, I guess?
Yeah, like completely, because to learn ZBrush in the beginning, it's hard. Like you're seeing that interface and you're like, oh, no, let's start differently.
Yeah.
First, you see all the nice images online. You're like, oh, nice, I want to sculpt something,
Yeah,
I think it's cool. Top Pro and everything, and it looks nice. And then you open the program and you're like, what is this? Like, this isn't movie like I thought. And especially if you have, let's say, a previous 3D background and you used to use Booleans and box modeling, like the old school thing.
Totally.
You're like totally stuck because it feels totally different. But the good thing for me is that I had an art education and I could pick pretty quickly because I was drawing since I was 4 years old. So
yeah, that sort of translated.
Yeah, that translated perfectly because I was looking for a medium to express myself.
Right.
And maybe it could have become clay in the end or something else, or painting, but I just found the perfect tool with ZBrush.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision for you, I guess, at that stage.
Yeah. Like I dove in, and at a certain moment, like I was trying to analyze all the shapes, like holding stuff physically, like how would I be able to sculpt this, you know, like to analyze how depth work and everything. And like I learned it all on my own. Like the only thing that I had was I bought a book from Madeline Scott Spencer.
Oh yeah,
because she wrote a book like 10 years ago or something.
Was that was the book that Maddie did on her own, or was that the book that Maddie and Paul did?
Maddie on her own.
Okay.
I picked it up when I was in New York on a vacation, so I saw it at a bookstore, and I was like, oh, cool, because you can't find it in Belgium, especially 10 years ago.
Oh, right.
And I took it home, and I read the book from the front until the end, and I was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. Maddie was a true innovator of ZBrush.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, Maddie was one of the first ones to...
I have a lot of respect for her.
Absolutely. I think we all do in a lot of ways. And Weta, of course, is a big proponent of ZBrush in those days, too, and kind of what helped propel ZBrush into it where it is now.
Yeah.
But that's great. So that was kind of the starter for you, that book.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So now you guys, I wanted to hear a little bit more about how you guys met. You guys met here at the summit last year.
We did.
Officially.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I'd known Maarten sort of via Facebook for a while.
Yeah.
But it was really awkward because I was quite a big fan of Maarten before I met him. Yeah, it's going to really embarrass him.
As he like,
actually was. Here we go.
And I've actually got a book with him in, and if I want to make him feel really like awkward, I'll read out his.
Like he starts reading stuff that I wrote up, let's say 6 or 7 years ago. Like people change, you know. And he's like,
do you remember when you wrote
this? And I'm like,
it's really awkward. It's really funny.
Did I write that? Like,
I can hear him squirming.
You're just poking at him.
Yeah, you can hear him squirming down the Skype call. It's quite funny.
That's great. I think that's one of your great characteristics is that you have this ability to bring this out of people in a way.
Right.
Truly.
Okay. Yeah.
Truly.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not.
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
You make people feel comfortable, and even if you're poking at them, you know?
Yeah. And he has to put up with it quite a lot. I think.
Yeah.
But I can handle it. Yeah. I can take it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I like him. So we met and we just hit it off. And but then that's what the summit's all about. You meeting old friends and friends that you've had on Facebook for a while, but you've never met them physically, and new friends. You know, brand new people that you'd never even met before or even knew existed.
Yep.
And it just opens doors. I think that's what. For me, it's all about.
Yeah, and it's hard to. I mean, you can go to ZBC and be avid on there and post a lot and get to know a lot of the famous people, but there are so many artists out there. A lot of people are afraid to share work and post.
Yes.
So I guess doing these kinds of events, you get a chance to meet face to face and really get to know someone, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we just sparked, and after the summit, we stayed in touch. The relationship developed from there, really.
Yeah, and also at Summit we met Brett, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Like we met Brett Briley, and
so in this sort of communion in a way, this like ZBrush union that you guys have with Brett Briley and the two of you.
Yeah.
You guys started something. We've got these figures here on the table.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what happened after that. Like, what happened after you guys connected and you guys all Brett went back to Texas, you went back to Belgium, you went back to the UK.
Yeah, we decided to do Monsterpalooza in the next April. So all of these were actually sculpted for Monsterpalooza last April. But things didn't quite work out how we kind of expected. But what was nice about the whole experience was like we really learned how to collaborate, and to us that's what it's all about. It's like collaboration.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work it's easy to work in a bubble with what we do. Like I've been saying to a lot of people at the summit that you need to break your day up, because if you're not careful, you can spend the whole day in one room.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
if you're very busy, and so it's nice also to have some people that you can talk with, collaborate with. You get a new perspective on things.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And so that's, we kind of developed the relationship along those lines.
So you guys were kind of just sort of sharing. I mean, you all seem to have unique, like similar sort of interests, I guess, as far as the characters and the designs that you guys do. But each one of you seems very unique in the way that you go about it. So I bet that was a really cool, it's sort of, developing relationship as well with your artwork. I
don't think we're really scared about that. I think a lot of people might be, because they think, well, we need to have like one homogenous stance on and creatively on everything. But I think we're a bit older, I guess, so we're a bit set in our ways, but we're also very comfortable with where we are creatively.
Yeah.
And I think we are also comfortable with each other's, styles. And
the thing is that we really respect each other's work, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell Brett like, hey, you should sculpt a monster like this because I sculpt a monster like this. No. Brett knows his stuff.
Yeah. So appreciate the uniqueness of each one of you. Yeah.
So that's the thing that we're going for. Like, let's say, we also want to produce, let's say, our own things, and our own things. I mean, our own ideas, our own ways of storytelling, and I've worked on a collab with James, and we work pretty well together. And probably for Grimm, we will work on bigger pieces, the three of us together.
Also, you guys actually collaborate on the same pieces.
Yeah,
that's great. That's awesome.
We did one piece for Monsterpalooza where we collaborated together. That was the first collaboration.
It was a test.
It was a test.
The test bed.
It was a work in progress.
Yeah,
because you never know how it's going to work out. Because we both had a total different work ethic, how we approach things.
Yeah.
But it worked out fine. Like, he blocked out some stuff. Like, we agreed on a pose. Then he sent the model to me. Then I had a hold of it for 2 days. Like, did my stuff on it. Then it went back and forth. And
so at this time, you guys are communicating via Skype, I guess.
That's right.
Sending images back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you guys do like draw-overs for each other, or just kind of have a conversation about it?
I think there were a few draw-overs and
but very simple things,
Yes, very simple things indeed. Yeah, and.
So the trust is there. It's kind of like, okay, I think we should go about it this way. And then you kind of just
hash it out. So. I think inevitably one person leads, and then it kind of works out from there, really. And I guess the key to collaboration is understanding when to fight your corner and when not to.
Yeah.
In the right way, of course. Yeah. Because there are always going to be disagreements, but it's the ability to get over those.
Sure. And there's
and
nothing
find
wrong with disagreements, right? It's sort of having this like,
we're not scared
confidence
of that.
in who you are and what your skills are, and like maybe I'd be better to do this. Or maybe
yeah,
you'd be
that's
better
the thing.
to do
Like,
this.
know your skill, like know what you're good at, and trust the other person to do the other thing. And like on the piece that we did together, like he gave the scary stuff to me. And it was like, you'll have fun with this. And I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It was just literally, well, I know that Maarten's a lot faster than I am. So I'm like, while he's doing that, I can be doing other stuff. And I know that if I give him too many parameters, like it'll be constrictive. But if he can, it'll feel more collaborative. If you can just do your thing, and then I'll do my thing.
Yeah.
But there are some parameters, I guess, but they're very loose.
But there are also little surprises in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Because he sends a model to me, I do something that he doesn't know about it, and I send it back, and he starts laughing because I opened, let's say, in the piece there was a casket, and I opened it up, and there were like little feet sticking out. So I didn't tell him. Like, I gave him the model, and he was looking at the model, and then he saw it.
That's hilarious.
And those are
still two little feet sticking out.
Those are like little things you could add to
your. You do like little jokes here and there, like leave him like a little secret. Be like, I wonder if he's gonna see this.
We do have a sick sense of humor a little bit, so it's nice hilarious. To kind of indulge it a little bit.
Oh, that's so funny. So then going back to the three of you leading up to Monsterpalooza. So you guys wanted to, for the listeners, for people who don't know, you guys essentially formed this sort of company in a way, or a business in a way.
A company, a business, a collective.
Collective. Yeah. Which you call it Grimm.
That's right. Yeah.
So what's the general premise, or what are you guys sort of seeking to do with Grimm? Because all these figures are under the umbrella of Grimm.
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, basically, it's a platform for us to produce our own self-initiated projects. So. I mean, we all have client work. We're freelance artists primarily, but it's difficult to get your own stuff done. It's difficult to have that sort of go that route on your own. So Grimm is a great way for us to pool our resources, get these things into reality, and also it takes a lot of work to get the website going, to get the infrastructure you need.
Yeah.
It's not all just what you see on the screen, it's what's behind it that goes on. So in that way, I guess it's really important to us to make sure we've done everything properly.
Yeah. I imagine just sort of forming this kind of like all-star like Avengers team. You guys are basically like forming an Avengers team of sculptors in a way.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that kind of gives you guys energy and motivation to do it, whereas it would be a lot more work to do on your own. Right.
Yeah.
To go through and make the site, and keep up with marketing, and come up with the ideas.
And it's just there's a lot of potential for collaboration. As I said, I don't want to. I like to create my own stuff, of course, but I don't want to be all perpetually in a bubble. I would like to collaborate and do even bigger stuff. I think there's some amazing potential there.
Truly,
yeah.
So, well, hopefully we'll get Kingsley in here, but we'll get some close-up shots of some of these pieces. So for you guys, Monsterpalooza, how did that go? Was that successful for you guys? Like, you guys are making all these by yourself.
That's correct.
So you guys are doing all the sculptures, all of these prints. Like, tell me a little bit about the prints themselves, as far as the process that you're going through. Of course, it starts with our sculpts, and then we actually engineer them ourselves. Yep. Actually, to be fair, these two were actually engineered by Jake at Formlabs. Yep. And so we'd like to say thank you very much for these, because they look awesome. You're so awesome.
They've been so supportive of us.
So you got Formlab prints, and then these have been...
these are casts, the actual casts, but they are also based on Form 2 prints that we did ourselves.
This is the best. I just love, and this is straight out. This is just straight resin.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah. So the texture quality, you guys are spending a lot of time. Do you guys go through and do? So maybe you're using Formlabs and doing sort of revisions and getting this sort of final look, and make sure everything's bumping out the right depth.
That's right. And that's the key.
Yeah.
It's really important to get that right depth to your work, because it won't. And on the screen, it will look completely different to what it will come out a lot often in terms of depth.
Is that something that you naturally kind of just get an eye for? Like, you can view a certain shader. Like, for me, I love to put on the matte cap pearl, but the matte cap pearl shows off all those edges and all those cracks and details, but you don't necessarily know how that's going to look in the round when you get a print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's something. Do you guys have sort of like tool sets that you use to like measure dimension, or you just sort of use your eyes?
Actually, Scale Master is useful. I mean, I've been using Scale Master since it was released, and that's really, really useful.
Absolutely. Just using it to sort of get your frame for the you can sculpt freely as much as you want. You just want to tell, I want this to be 8 inches tall. Boom, sets it up.
And it's that easy.
Yeah.
But in terms of depth, we kind of, it's a constant refining process.
Yeah. And he's a red wax person, so.
Oh, you see, well, red wax is a lot
it's
like
not
the
as
matte
bad
cap
as
pearl.
Pearl
is even more deceiving for sure. Absolutely. So I always go back to the matte cap gray or the basic material, because the basic material, you get the softer shadows, and that kind of helps a little bit. But matte cap red wax is that one half of the shader that gives you that cavity. That cavity is cranked up high.
And it's really important. It's kind of a utility matte cap, isn't it? It's not something you would like present in.
Right. But while you're sculpting,
if you flip over, if you can get something to look good in red wax
then
or pearl, then it's a good sculpt.
Yeah. That's a good tip. That's why the red wax has lasted for so long. It's
exactly.
It is what it is for that reason.
Yeah.
That's great. So for you guys, I mean, are you guys as a team now? Are these are the completed pieces that you guys have all worked on together? And you guys are selling these now.
That's correct. Yeah.
So you guys are selling these at Monsterpalooza. You got these up on your site.
Yep.
So people can go to wearegrimm.com and check it out, purchase all these things.
That's right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So do you sort of have a schedule for this? Or are you guys sort of putting these out throughout the year?
We've got enough material to last until the next Monsterpalooza. We can keep releasing stuff. We'd like to release sort of one every 2 months, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to go for. And let's say for the next big Monsterpalooza, we might do a special thing.
Dude, I could see you guys collaborating on, well, you were saying that you're going to do, so this piece is an amalgamation of, you said the Wizard of Oz monkeys, which is so awesome, and a Japanese kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, Zero Pilot.
Yeah, Zero Pilot. So doing something like this, you're saying you're going to make this bigger, so like maybe 12 inches or so?
Yeah.
I just want to see you guys do like a massive, like something in bronze maybe, or some large scale. You guys could just destroy something like that.
We were talking about public works, weren't
Yeah,
we?
yeah. And the things that would be awesome, but yeah, you're also self-funding the whole thing.
That's
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Baby steps.
So yeah, it's baby steps because when we launched the site, like people were excited, but people were already saying, like, "Oh, guys, you're doing bust. You should do, let's say, full figures."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Are you going to buy one? Like,
Yeah, because it's promises.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when it comes down
yeah,
to it,
because
right.
it will cost money eventually, you know.
Absolutely.
And people might like, for the lighthouse keeper, when you show the pictures of the final casting, like,
Yeah, it was
got
popular.
a like a big response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still started, and it's growing.
Yeah.
But like
It always comes down to price point and all of those things. I'm sure that's a big part of the business and the strategy and all of that. I
But
would
we're
imagine.
artists. That's the other thing. So we're not businessmen particularly. So it's a difficult, hard road to travel, really.
Right.
we're
and
figuring everything out
there's a few-
while we're going.
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
a few hard
Yeah.
lessons to be learned along the way.
That's part of the. I guess that's part of the process, right? And
Yeah.
and maybe part of the fun is sort of trying to figure it out. And you guys have such a unique vision for each one of these characters. It's amazing. So this lighthouse keeper.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such an insane piece. That's so awesome. Like I want all of these on my desk. I would like if I had the money, I would buy all of them. You know, and I
Well,
think
there's the website.
Yeah, well, trust me. Don't worry. I'll be checking it out for sure. I'll contribute to this happily. But it comes down to, I guess, maybe it's a part of the subject matter, and I'm sure that there's some things that other people might collectively want to buy more. There's pop culture. There's all kinds of stuff.
That's something that we really know that we're producing artist pieces, and we're not doing, let's say, the big licensed stuff.
Right.
So the numbers are more limited.
Yeah.
And like if we would do naked girls,
Yeah.
those will sell like crazy.
Yeah. So like hotcakes.
Yeah,
For sure.
but monsters,
Especially in
we know the
Japan.
market is a bit different, you know.
Yeah, of course.
It takes a certain type of person
Naked
to buy
monsters,
it.
perhaps.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it takes a certain type of person to buy these things, you know.
Right. That's very true. Well, I guess the people that you have buying now, you know absolutely for certain that they're true fans of the art form itself,
Yeah.
and sculpture, and creature design, and monsters, and all of that. So everybody that has already purchased, they truly appreciate this for what it is. And maybe down the road, you guys might end up sort of form-fitting to other things that are, you know, more relatable to other people. But I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with, because the three of you is truly incredible. What a team. So Brett couldn't make it for this
No,
summit.
he has a few other commitments, I'm afraid, but
Yeah.
he's with us in spirit, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
He's definitely. It's funny because he's a totally different personality to us,
Yeah,
isn't he? But he complements us quite nicely, I think.
That's really great to hear.
yeah.
Yeah. And he also works in freelance.
That's
He's an
right.
educator.
Yeah.
And you guys, neither of you teach, do you?
No.
I teach,
Oh, you
but,
teach, yeah,
but I
sorry,
give,
yeah.
let's say I give workshops once or twice a year at certain schools.
Yeah.
And they invite me and I do a 5 or 6 day workshop. But yeah, that's once or twice a year.
Sure. It's well, now with Grimm, I would imagine you guys have less time for that kind of stuff too. Might become more of your focus, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So James, you got to tell me. I don't want to take away too much, but this piece,
Yeah.
I gotta know. So the beard hair.
Yes.
Is this so you go in and you like, I'm just imagining you're in Dynamesh and you're kind of going in and just blocking out the rough sort of forms, the push and pull.
Yeah.
So you're going in with, say, Damien standard brush and pinch, and you're going in and just using your skills.
Slash 3 as
That's
well to get
incredible.
some depth as well. And then actually on this one, I did this about a month and a half after the last summit, and I've been using the spiral tool, and I was like, I've got to find an excuse to use it properly. And so I use the spiral quite a lot on that beard because it's kind of like
gives that wave.
Yeah,
right?
and there's like seaweed and stuff on the bottom, and it kind of mirrors the seaweed, you know. So it kind of creates that narrative as well. It's kind of very similar.
Yeah.
So I wanted that kind of look. So actually, the technique on that beard was a little bit different to normal. So it was a lot more wavy and less straight.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's almost as if it's kind of blowing in the wind.
That's right. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Thanks.
I'm just blown away by that kind of work. That's the stuff that the more and more I get into, I spend so much time with technical, and I think a lot of people do. You seem to see a lot of people end up gravitating back towards just the hands-on texturing and surfacing, where you end up getting the best quality, right?
Yeah. Because when when that happens, and I'm not knocking any other techniques because I think there's room for everything.
Right.
But you can put a bit of your heart and soul into it when you do stuff by hand.
Yeah.
Like that, I think. You take your time. I'm stubborn. I redo stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be. I want it to be a high standard. And I think you put that heart and soul in something, and it comes across visually too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a testament to Grimm in itself. The
Thanks.
three of you guys have that quality, each of you, and I think that will prove to be successful. Absolutely.
Hope so.
It's amazing. So as far as we got your site up, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to highlight as far as the listeners? And
we've got a few things coming out. I mean, the Ozero piece, I think we were very keen to sort of produce. So that we're going to do that at a larger size, perhaps a bit later. But I think that'd definitely be on the lineup. So if you were to look at the slider on there, there's a few of upcoming things. So the little arrows on the side.
Oh, awesome! So you got new release pieces coming out.
Yeah. So one of the big things that's coming is the Bluebeard piece. So this is Maarten's Rise Up.
What's the premise of this one exactly? This is
it's a Cthulhu.
It's a Cthulhu thing, but if you look at the statue, like we're all about storytelling. And just look at the back of the statue. Like there's a little hidden secret. There's a little boat in there in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite gives an idea of scale as well.
And we try to do those things in a lot of our sculpts, like do a little bit of storytelling.
That's incredible. So I guess each one of these, I'm going to have to go through and investigate every little part here. Oh yeah, so I know this is Brett's
insignia,
which he wears the shirt.
Yeah,
that's right. So everyone knows.
It's such a great logo. It's creepy and awesome at the same time.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah, that's an incredible piece. So you guys have the new releases up here.
Yeah, I think they're just on the generic kind of slider thing that we've got going. But
it's a beaubeautiful site. Very good design choice.
I designed it. It was
very nice.
I'm a graphic designer as well, so I thought, well, it's best that I just do it, because we've all found other things to do within the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Martin, you do you do video.
I do the video thing.
And then Brett does a lot of infrastructure work. So
what kind of videos are you guys putting up here? So you guys have like maybe just sort of showing off the pieces?
I think we'd like to do more. That's something that,
now, let's say when we launched, we did a teaser trailer, like something very simple.
Yeah.
And in the future, probably nice turntables and everything, because we're still we're working with digital models, so we can make nice videos. But maybe there's a possibility that we're also going to do, let's say, recordings of the bus or do something special with it.
Kind of show off the process a little bit.
Yeah, and then maybe for let's say next Palooza, we make special reel with a lot of awesome extra things in it. And,
Yeah. So you guys will definitely be at Monsterpalooza next year.
Yes.
Here in LA.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
So we'll be seeing you guys then for sure.
Yes.
What about, do you guys do Son of Monsterpalooza? Is there anything in Europe that you guys do? Any events or anything?
There's nothing in Europe.
There's
Really?
nothing in Europe, no.
I'm very surprised by that. Even there's
ZBrush
nothing
Summit in Europe. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you don't have to convince me. We're all on board for that. Absolutely. That would be amazing.
You'd be most welcome in London, I'm sure you.
That would be amazing. Well, let's, after this podcast, let's go spread the word. 'Cause
Let's do it.
I need a vacation. Well, you guys, I guess as we're winding down here, I just want to thank you guys both for coming on and showing off your work. And we'll be sure we're going to get some close-ups of these in the podcast. So don't worry. The cameras might not be highlighting off these pieces, but they're insane. This is incredible.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, I guess thank you guys both again for coming on. Thanks to Brett Briley, even though he couldn't be here.
Yep.
We wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
And we'll be seeing you guys later. You guys are going to come on and we're going to play God of War for a little bit.
Okay, definitely.
I'm going to teach Maarten how to play.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the controls.
I've never played on the PS4 at all, ever. So it's going to be crazy.
Perfect. I can't wait.
All sorts of weird shenanigans going on.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys get out of here. Thanks for coming in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.